On WhatsApp, no one can see or hear your personal messages. Whether it's a voice call, message, or sending a password. To WhatsApp, it's all just this. So whether you're sharing the streaming password in the family chat or trading those late-night voice messages that could basically become a podcast, your personal messages stay between you, your friends, and your family. No one else. Not even us. WhatsApp. Message privately with everyone.
This Friday, Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan are back to switch things up in Disney's Freakier Friday.
OMG, yes.
It's an absolute riot.
Woo!
And the only movie that can be described as
so much weirder than the last time. What last time?
It's the frequel
You ready?
we've been waiting for.
That absolutely slays.
What deeply out-of-touch old person came up with that?
You did.
Wow.
Don't miss the comedy event of the summer for all ages. Disney's Freakier Friday in theaters this Friday. Get tickets now. Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested.
This episode is brought to you by the world's first reposado from Tequila Herradura. Made with slow-cooked, hand-harvested agave sealed into oak barrels and aged 11 months. Before being enjoyed in your glass. Experience the world's first reposado. Tequila Herradura. Please drink responsibly. Responsibility.org. Tequila Herradura. 40% alcohol by volume. Imported by Brown-Forman, Louisville, Kentucky. Herradura is a registered trademark. Copyright 2025 Brown-Forman Corporation.
Pie in the Sky Media. This series contains adult language and descriptions of graphic violence throughout. Listener discretion is advised.
Three, two, one. Welcome back, Murder Chronicles Nation, to another bonus episode of the Murder Chronicles. My name's Brandon. I produce the show. Here, as always, with the great Carolyn Osorio. Hello, Carolyn.
Hey, Brando. How you doing?
I'm fine. I fucking hated this episode. And I'll tell you why. I will tell you why. When I became a dad, I was listening, and I still listen. There's a sports talk show guy, okay, who's also a father of daughters, about 15 years older than mine. Okay. So when I became a dad, his girls were just entering the dating years. Right. And he said, he went on this rant. It was not about sports. It was about parenting. And so it really stuck with me. And he said a couple of things that stood out. He said, at this age, which my kids are approaching, you become more of a consultant in their lives because they have other people that have a bit more influence, teachers, friends, whatnot. Right. He said, and it's been distilled in his life. It was distilled down to two wishes: that his daughter doesn't get in the wrong car and doesn't get in the wrong relationship. Everything else, like it can be dealt with in his estimation. Okay. Mm-hmm. And in this fucking story, she did both. She got in the wrong relationship and she got in the wrong fucking car. And it turned my fucking stomach hearing what happened to her, how those guys treated her. Right. Like it really, like I got sick to my stomach listening to it. And I think it's an important story to tell because, and I know I get fucking crucified sometimes in the comments when I judge people from these stories, but I think that Terry was a shitty mother. Okay. I think she was a shitty mother and that she could have done more to prevent what happened. Obviously, she was a shitty mother because she was plotting to kill her fucking husband and she involved her daughter in it. But letting her daughter at 15 drop out of school, be homeschooled, hang out with people in their fucking 20s, giving her money for alcohol and drugs, making sure that her 20-year-old friends call her mom, like all of that. Let that be an example of how not to parent a teenage daughter. I just want to put that out there. Yell at me.
I've been sitting on this one for a really long time because I think I had all of the interview witness transcripts, but I didn't have the audio. So I kept trying to hunt that down because you need to have that context of how people say things. You can read it on a transcript, but then to actually hear it. Right. And I was having such a hard time processing these kids, not just the murderers, not just Sarah, but also the friends. Like right. How easy it was. How easy it was Like, I just am like, who is the, who is the redeeming person in this story, and so it's really hard because, believe it or not, I actually, as I put these together, I actually think, like, what can we learn from it? What can we talk about that moves the needle, and just having a dialogue and not just these horrible stories, what's the takeaway? And then I finally realized that it was like, I think the takeaway is that the brain, is not fully formed. Now, that is not an excuse for anything that happened. But I think with with teenagers, it's like we expect so much, and it's not like we shouldn't, but I think we know so much more now about the teenage brain that it's not fully developed until at least 25. So, I mean,
well, that's less of a reason to let your 15-year-old daughter call the shots in a household.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I remember when I was that age and there were parents like that would like, yeah, call me mom. And I'm like, I just, that it never felt,
no,
I was like kind of rubbed up against that, did you know a mom like that too?
No, I didn't. That would have freaked me out. That would have fucking freaked me out. No way. No, what I'm reminded of in this, when I'm thinking about bad parenting, like sometimes we Gen X kids are accused of having absentee parenting. And it's different than that. I mean, like what my kids don't get, like they don't understand. I don't know if it happened in Seattle, but back in the tri-state area, back in the Northeast, when I was a kid, like 70s and through the 80s, the government decided that it was necessary to remind parents that they had kids every night. On the news at 10 o'clock, it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? Was on every single night at the clock struck 10 in between, like before the evening news started. Ding! It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? They had to
that's
remind
so
them.
funny because I don't know, as you said that, I don't know if you've told me that before or I read it somewhere before. But yeah, I mean, the mindset was completely different. And now I just was seeing something on social media where parents or where like parenting magazines are like, don't hover over your children because the pendulum has swung so far in the other direction, where it's like, no, you can't chase your kid around at the park. Please let them be free. It's the whole free range situation.
But this just seemed like with Terry as Sarah's mom, that she kind of wanted to be except for call me mom. It seemed like she wanted to be among them. She wanted to be part of their peer group, right? And not be an authority figure. It's like she was eschewing whatever authority that she had in her life, maybe surrendering it to the church that she was involved in. I don't really know, but again, when hearing the way that her version of parenting, okay, and then hearing how involved she was in the church, okay, loved her pastor, going to church every day, Seventh-day Adventists. There's Seventh-day Adventists out here. They're mostly like in the Armenian communities in Los Angeles and Southern California. But then to hatch a murder plot to kill her husband, that's not very Christ-like of this woman, right? So what was the purpose of the church in her life? Was it community? Was it did she really lean into this multiple personality disorder diagnosis as an excuse for shitty behavior? But for the church to have 20 people diagnosed by the pastor, not by a fucking medical doctor, by the pastor, you have multiple personality disorder. That seems to me like it's one step away from saying you're possessed by a demon, because I have done a lot of research.
What's so funny? You're just like chef's kiss, as you would say, because I didn't add that in because it was true. The devil worshiping stuff was true in this situation. Really? I had all the audio, but I couldn't back it up. There was nothing that like she and Terry's, she never went to trial. And I couldn't get audio from her. But apparently there was one interview where one of the congregants like went into this whole spin out of where they were Satan worshipers and they would go into the woods, and that's allegedly Terry and Sarah were all a part of this. And so it was just like way too like off the rails to include it. but it was like there was something hinky going on in that church, big time, which does not excuse the plot to kill Jerry, but it's like you could see that she was so under his spell and she wanted to get out of this marriage and she wanted the money and they were in financial straits, which Jerry had no idea about. And, you know, I said in the episode, like here, Jason was thinking he was totally scamming them. And I think that she was completely
100%.
like,
and in that respect, there are a bunch of dipshits. Like who
totally
does this murder plot and then fucking tell everybody and have a 25-year-old or 22-year-old drifter who's banging your daughter and say like, hey, and kill this guy. Okay, I'll give you 10 grand in a truck. Oh yeah, that sounds great. And I get to go to Hawaii. Fuck yeah, I'll do it. Like, what are you talking?
No.
What are you talking?
I know.
About? And then they tell people, and then dipshit Jason fucking tells people, and then they get cold feet, and then it was like Keystone Cops for fucking murderers.
Well, that's why I feel like the deeper part with the rejection component, which we've talked about with these guys, you know, where what Sarah did, because she talked back to him and basically was like, hey, you took the $40, you know, you're a taker. And then he doesn't even just stick around to even have a dialogue about it. It's like, I'm out of here, you know?
I'm going to kill her and get money. And I'm going to get my fucking Hulk, fucking Lenny friend, quiet TJ, who's I'm not smart, but I can lift heavy shit. Fucking
I know, right? He had a mouse on the side of his
right, yeah. Like, oh, I killed the puppy. I'm sorry. And he chokes people out at parties like for a goof. Like, who is this fucking guy? Right?
But I remember in junior high, there was somebody like that who did that in the bathroom.
Everybody knows somebody like that. I know a guy. Jeremy Ferrara would choke people out, and everyone was scared of him, so they didn't want to say no. So he'd fucking choke you out at a party, right? So you don't get beat up the next day in school, right?
When I heard that, I was like transported back, and it's like all these parties, and I just felt so much gratitude that I was able to escape my teenage self, right?
I mean,
that I was smart enough to not stick around, you know?
It's like all of those parties, it was so weird. It's like showing up, there's no parents, right? There's no parents.
Or if there are parents, it's the cool ones who totally
parents, right? Who look the other way. Someone's got a bottle of vodka, someone's getting a hand job in the closet, and someone's getting choked out for fun.
I know.
Oh,
I could totally relate to these like parties, and I didn't want to like.
See, but we're talking about when we're like early teens, mid-teens. These guys were like in their 20s hanging out with a 15-year-old. Like, first of all, why didn't Jerry call the cops on Jason for banging his 15-year-old daughter? Like, that's illegal because Jason's like 22. She's 15. She's outside. She knows that she goes out and she smokes cigarettes every night. She's a chain smoker at 15. Like, I'm sitting here going, where are the parents?
I know.
And this is not like it's the 70s where no one gave a shit. This is the late 90s. This isn't that long ago.
I think it's when, well, almost 2000.
Almost
2000. Yeah. I think that you have that the slippery slope from as your children mature, you know, your relationship does change and you do, you know, want to pick your battles, but this is so like out of control. Like where are the parents? And Jerry is like, I'm just working. You know, I kind of view his, you know, he just kept working like
it's a cop out. I mean, when you're 15, you're a freshman or a sophomore in high school.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't have a driver's license. You're not old enough to work in a lot of places, you know, like you're still basically helpless to a point. Okay. And
well, so Sarah wasn't, no way.
Yeah,
no how.
No,
I'm not saying that Jerry is blameless and he's just like, oh, I didn't know. What I'm trying to put myself in that position of how does somebody get to that point where they just feel so powerless that they allow, because when I was reading his testimony, he was like, he didn't like it. He didn't want that to be that, you know, but he kept wanting this marriage to work because he'd been in 2 other marriages that that didn't work out. So I think that I can't account for why he did that, but I know that there are people who are so focused on keeping things together when they should just accept the fact that they got problems and they got to deal with it. Because the fact that this 20-year-old is living with the 15-year-old is, as you said, illegal, and that they're driving these cars and she has a learner's permit and he doesn't even have a license. And these are brand new cars. I mean, even if they were like pieces of crap, you still like, and then drinking and driving, like, oh my gosh, they were doing that back in the day.
We'll be back after a quick break.
It's Wednesday, Adams. I see you're trying to distract yourself from your own banal thoughts. Let me help. Here's a recording thing made of my latest root canal.
Wednesday, Season 2, begins August 6th, only on Netflix.
Hey, it's Sydney Sweeney. I'm not here to tell you to buy American Eagle jeans. And I definitely won't say that they're the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn. Or that they make your butt look amazing. Why would I need to do that? But if you said that you want to buy the jeans, I'm not going to stop you. But just so we're clear, this is not me telling you to buy American Eagle jeans.
Sydney Sweeney, Hasbro jeans.
You see what I did there, right?
I mean, it blows my mind. It blows my mind. And maybe I'm in my little, suburban bubble, because with parenting and fucking PTA and soccer games and volleyball and woo, right? And there's a world where I don't know, parents just do shit differently, I guess. But again, it's much closer to where we are now than most of your cases. A lot of your cases are in the 80s, right? This is almost 2000s, like you said. We knew shit by then. We had the internet by then. We had, there was, I don't know. It fucking blew me away what was going on back then. But so, all right. So the first murder plot was to kill Jerry, but Jerry had to poop. Okay. That saved his life. That saved his life.
It saved his life.
His irritable bowel syndrome.
Yeah, I put that in there for you because I knew
saved
you were.
His life.
Yes. Yeah.
I love that about Jerry. Okay. Good for you, Jerry. You're welcome. Okay.
I mean, you had to, when you look at it, you really had to go there because it's like, well, wait a second, he went in through the wrong door. Well, no, he didn't just go into the. He
sprinted. I've been there. I think we've all been there. Like coming home from like a restaurant that maybe didn't do too well. You're like, I can make it home in time. I don't want to go in the dirty restaurant bathroom. I can make it home. And you seriously misjudge your ability, right? And I'm driving and my wife will say something like, just be quiet, please. Just be quiet. Don't say anything. I got to focus.
Yeah, no, I get it. And so, you could picture, and it saved his
life. Right. It saved his life. So they get cold feet. So they call it off. And in the interim, Justin steals the $40, which pisses off Sarah, which ostracizes him, makes him feel rejected. So he turns his ire on her and the whole family. That was a nice turn that you made in your writing right there. Like, he knows them so well. He has access to the house. Why not just fucking kill everybody? Okay. Like, whoa.
Well, and it's so scary when they picked up Terry. It's like, how freaking scary. They had opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I know.
And obviously they're very capable. And she ended up taking them back to her house. And I didn't go into a lot of detail about it, but apparently when Jerry wakes up, they're TJ and the balls on these guys. TJ and Jason are making like pizza rolls in the microwave. And Jerry's hearing this commotion at midnight. And he's like, where's Sarah? And these guys are eating his food and like standing there. And it's like, how can you just totally brutally kill their daughter and eat their food and eat pizza rolls? And lucky
First of all, there are a lot of J's in this story. A lot of
Tell me about it.
Okay.
Tell me about
it. I was completely obsessed with John Wilkes Booth and the Lincoln assassination for a couple of years, and like read everything I could. And every other person was named John. Okay, there were so many Johns. There were like 30 Johns that played like a really significant role in that.
What part of, I know this is off topic, but I'm curious, what part of that story was so riveting to you?
So riveting was that how a northern liberal family produced the greatest tool of Southern hatred that probably our country's known. Like John Wilkes Booth grew up, he was raised by like very liberal, progressive, and artistic family of actors, of great actors. Like John Wilkes Booth could be compared to like the Tom Cruise of his time. And his older brother, Edwin, was like the Daniel Day-Lewis of his time, like much more serious, less showy and flashy and less handsome. John Wilkes Booth was named the most handsome man in America, like 2 months before he killed Lincoln. Like he was a massive star. In the South, though, he was kind of rejected by Northern audiences at first who preferred his brother Edwin. And so he went down and changed his name. He didn't act under John Wilkes Booth at first. And made his name in the Southern theaters, from Richmond down to New Orleans, and was really embraced by the Southern ideologies and the Southern way of life, and was completely, I say brainwashed. I don't know, just because it was a different, complete 180 from how he grew up, into that Lincoln and the Union was trying to destroy a very specific way of life that was born on the backs of slave labor, basically the agricultural South. And so he always hated that he and considered himself a coward for not joining the army. And so he figured that he would do what he could. And he was a spy for the South because he was so famous. He could travel freely on the trains and transport medicine and messages and blah, blah, blah. And he was a mercenary dater. He dated, daughters of senators and stuff to try and get information from them. And then when he heard that of the surrender at Appomattox, he was like, it's not over yet. There are still armies in the field that are still fighting. And if we are able, him and his merry band of conspirators, on the same night, kill Lincoln, Vice President Johnson, and Secretary of State William Seward, we will decapitate the North. They'll be in disarray, and the Southern Army will be able to rise up and win. But he was the only one that really believed that, but he fucking did it.
Was committed to it.
100%.
He was what they say, pot committed.
100% committed to it. And so what I love about the story is looking at it as just kind of like a historical snapshot, because it all happened so quick. The Civil War ended. 9 days later, Lincoln is assassinated. And then like 12 days after that, Booth is captured and killed. It was all in like just over 20 something days that these incredible events happened. And then Stanton, his Secretary of War, just went fucking bananas because his best friend Lincoln was murdered, and he completely overstepped his bounds and tried civilians in a military tribunal and executed them, which was completely outside the scope of his authority.
Just because he was a megalomaniac, or because he was so
because he was like, how fucking dare you do that to my friend? You killed my friend. Imagine your best friend gets murdered by some fucking actor, okay, and goes on the run, and you happen to have at your disposal the mightiest army in the world at the time. Mm-hmm. Okay, why don't you go get these motherfuckers? Okay.
Yeah, but the effers that they're getting were innocent, right? Oh, so they weren't innocent.
No, they weren't innocent, but they were civilians, and they were entitled to due process by a jury of their peers, not by a military tribunal that, yeah. So it was a really, really strange time, but I just find it a fascinating fucking time also. So
yeah, I mean, I never knew that backstory about Wilkes because you always hear about, Lincoln and I was recently reading something about his grave, like how they kept moving it and how it's like, I don't know if you know that story, but I was like, what?
Yeah. Well, the fact that it was Booth, what I think it has just been diluted over time is how famous he was. Like I tell people, I'm like, no, you don't really get it. It would be like if at a at Hamilton, right? You're at a showing of Hamilton and President Biden's there. Okay. And everyone's like, well, the president's here, great. And watching the show. And then halfway through the second act, like at the crescendo of the play, everyone hears a gunshot. Everyone's like, is that part of the show? What's going on? And then out of nowhere, Leonardo DiCaprio jumps down onto the stage. People are like, why is fucking Leo up there? And he holds up a bloody knife and says, make America great again, and runs off stage. Everyone's like, hold on, he's a Trump guy? And why is Biden's wife screaming right now? Holy shit. DiCaprio just fucking assassinated the president because he wants to reinstall the former government because he's a Trumper. And, and so many things became new facts, like all at once. Like no one knew that about Booth, what his political ideologies were. No one knew that he was secretly an agent of the South. No one knew like any of that. And so, but even that isn't really a fair comparison. It would be a fair comparison if DiCaprio's brother was Daniel Day-Lewis and if their dad was Marlon Brando. Like that's the pedigree of the family. Yeah.
Did you hear how Daniel Day-Lewis has just made an appearance, I guess, after like 4 years of retirement and like nobody recognized him? Did you see that headline?
And they probably gave him an Oscar for it because he would deserve it. Someone told me, and I don't doubt it, that he didn't really retire, that he's preparing for a movie where he plays a retired superstar and that he's building a character. Yeah.
We'll see.
I know. We'll see.
That's commitment.
That's who he is.
Oh, that's the craft.
That's the craft, Carolyn. That's the craft.
I know you're the actor, not me, as you pointed out many times.
That's the craft. And I think
that was perfect. Oh my gosh.
I think you know what I'm talking about because you slip in and out of character masterfully in some of these episodes. Masterfully. And you know what? Not to break your balls, but I was expecting a little bit more commitment when you were reading the letter at the end of this episode. But it's okay.
You know what? You're absolutely right, because as I was reading it, it's hard. She sounded like a teen, but she also sounded more different than what I'd imagined. And I just felt like really sad.
I felt sad. What was sad about it for me was that she reiterated that she wasn't going to give him up, even though they were broken up. She goes, I won't rat you out. She wanted him to know that he could count on her. That was sad.
I just mic dropped it with that because I thought, I'm not going to do this where it's like, well, what if she would have just sent that letter and not met him? Like,
what if all of it? Yeah.
What if all of it?
Right. But sometimes that's interesting to think about from an emotional place, but I this one was emotional enough. I think
I felt so too.
Yeah. Your description.
And it's like the mom, like as horrible as her parenting, which we've talked about in terms of like, man, Sarah really needed to have help. She needed to have
someone who gave a shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Like not, I say this to my son all the time, not all the time, but like, I'm like, I know you think I'm being hard on you, but you got to understand that I care so much. And, it's hard for me to say no. It's hard for me to say no to you, but it's the best thing for you. And fortunately, knock on wood, he accepts it. He may not like it, but he accepts it. But, this Sarah had just spiraled to the point where the mom just was like, because it's hard to be that parent. It's hard to have those boundaries, and it's easy to give them everything they want. And then this is what you get, when you give them everything that they want, Yeah, but I did feel bad for her at the end because like she did not want her daughter to like look at what she wrought. If she she wanted to kill Jerry. She recruited her daughter. She recruited these kids. She acted like a teen. And then to find out, like, she couldn't even grieve because once they, found her body there, she's like thinking, wow, wait a second. They're probably going to find out about this murder plot.
Yeah. And they fucking did. Yeah. And she only got 5 years. I get it. I mean, she didn't technically do anything but plan to kill a murder. But these other dipshits, fucking TJ comes out of his interview and he's like, oh, I can't believe he did that to your daughter. Oh, like he thinks he's going to get away with it when he was the one who choked her out and he was right there the fucking whole time. Good play. These guys are fucking idiots. They're idiots. Oh,
well, I'm sorry it was so painful. It was ominously painful for me.
No, listen, but in a way that's, when you know that you've been affected by a piece of art, like it's cool. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like any kind of strong, reaction like that, I like. The worst thing is just not giving, like, whatever, not giving a shit. So it definitely affected me, and in a way that I didn't like, but it was, I appreciate the work that went into it. So, again, nice job. You really highlight some fucked up people in your
on my quest to like
in your storytelling. Yeah. But it's always powerful. So, good job. The episode will be up. We'll be up in the morning. So any little hint of next week? No?
Next week, I think you're going to really, really despise this guy.
Okay.
Because he's entitled.
You a Red Sox fan or something? What?
No, he's a complete entitled. Remember your reaction to the E35 killer?
Oh gosh, yeah.
And his entitlement and his narcissism. This guy
really
is a same animal, different type,
All right, good.
But it'll definitely get your blood boiling.
I'm looking forward to it. All right, well, I'm going to go edit this. As always, Murder Chronicles Nation, thank you for taking the time to spend a little bit of time with us today. Please consider supporting the great companies that support our show. And if you have a moment, we'd appreciate you heading over to Apple Podcasts and giving us a review and a comment. So thank you very much. Carolyn, anything you'd like to add?
Well, thank you so much for listening and keeping with us. And we'll see you next week.
Yes. Until then, stay safe out there.
The Murder Chronicles is a pie-in-the-sky production recorded live in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. We are produced by Brandon Morgan and myself, music by Soundstripe. For Pie in the Sky Media, I'm Carolyn Osorio, your writer and host. Thanks for listening.